Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's really great insight. So we have about 10 minutes remaining. And so I figure it's a good time for us to jump to Q&A sessions here. So a lot of great questions have been coming in. And I see a lot about the Suez Canal. A lot of individuals are definitely interested. And I'm going to share a screen because I hope that this answers the majority of those questions. And just to get everybody's thoughts here too. So can you see my screen? All right. So we, MarineTraffic, our data team did an excellent job of gathering some data from vessels which were sitting stagnant and what their intended destinations were. So based off of this, we see the heat map here. We see where these vessels were headed towards beforehand. And we see a lot that are headed towards Singapore, for example. Others that have had an ambition to get to one of the Mideast ports. So maybe we're talking a lot of petrochemical trade. Mr. Doyle, for your side of the US, we see two hot marks as well. So a lot of questions have been coming in around whether expected port congestions may occur. So what are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Mario.
Well, I mean, the good news for us on the West Coast of the United States, we're not a hot spot. But on a more serious conversation, I think this basically tells you this whole issue of when we talk about trade, it's a global conversation, because at any point in the supply chain, in the global supply chain, you could have an event like what we've had at the Suez Canal. So I think the lessons learned here, again, is how important the aspects in terms of how we move containers. And I think to a certain extent, there's a component here of technology, because query whether or not, once we start implementing state-of-the-art technology in terms of weather conditions and how these vessels move, whether it's the Suez Canal, whether it's the Panama Canal, or even in the Trans-Pacific trade route, I think lessons learned is in terms of how we need to kind of better forecast weather conditions in a way that we can anticipate perhaps how we move vessels through a certain trade lane, or in this particular case, a canal. So I think certainly the whole global community is going to be talking about, again, another example of a crisis that impedes the global trade movement of goods.
William, what about you? What are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'd like to say is that, I really want to hand it to and give credit to the Suez Canal Authority. They did a really good job, managing the situation. 6 days, the canal was blocked, and you had, cargo, coming from, Asia and the Indian subcontinent that were at anchor in the Red Sea trying to get into the canal. Ourselves, right here in Baltimore, we had 3 ships inside the canal that were bound for Port of Baltimore. We had 5 or 6 on the Mediterranean side coming into the canal that were delayed. But, short term, I think is an upset right now. You have a short-term lag. The Suez Canal Authority, they expanded that canal in 2014.
Yes.
It was widened in several places. And if you take a look at the daily average over the past couple of years, it's about 51 ships per day going through the Suez Canal. But it was built in 2014 to have as much as 101 ships per day going through the canal. Well, the demand hasn't had that yet. But we're going to see in the next few days with the 300 and something vessels, that are delayed, whether or not they can do the 101, ships per day going through the canal. And, just a little piece of history here is that, the 6 Days War between Israel and Egypt, it was called the 6 Days War, but that canal was shut for 8 years. From 1967 to 1975, 15 ships were caught in between that canal. So, look, we got a resilient, supply system. We'll make it work one way or the other. The economics will make it work. I think it's short term, and I got to hand it to everybody that was involved. It was a tough situation, and again, I came from the dredging industry. Thank you, dredges. The dredges, when they get on site, it only took 3 days to get that ship dislodged. So congratulations to the dredges that went into the Suez Canal. Thank you.
No, absolutely. It is a major trade route to cut transit times for many shipping lines.